Hi, it's Crystal again with my next video. I guess I should stop numbering them after a while, but this is my second video, and this one I wanted to tell you a little bit more about me. I kind of gave you the overview of what I hope to accomplish with this blog and everything in the videos that I'm going to do in the future. So hopefully with your help and friends and things that I'm reading and watching on TV, that, you know, topics will come up and I'll be able to talk about them. But for now, I'm the subject. Did up my makeup today. I got a little teddy bear in my head. And I got this awesome sweater. I love the color of it. It's not exactly pink because I put the pink lipstick on and did my makeup. And it's not true pink. But then I kind of liked it because then it at least showed up the color of the sweater. And then I got my little earrings in here. And I got all ready for you guys. And I'm trying to look at the camera. I know it's at the top of the phone, and because if I look at the screen and look at me, then I'm not looking at you. And I like eye contact when I talk to people. And I try not to edit these videos too much because you don't get to edit conversations. And I'd like to think about this as more of a conversation than me talking at you, although I am. I'm hoping through comments that I'll be able to respond and make different videos to tell you a little bit more about me, help you with any problems that you have, or give you any advice, and maybe through listening about me that you might find something interesting or to apply to yourself. So I guess to start at the beginning. It's always nice to go in a chronological order. I was born in 1968, March. And I spent the first 2 years of my life living in a hospital called Shriners Hospital. I was a ward of the province in Manitoba, and I stayed there until I was 2, and then I was fostered out to my family at 2. And they told my mother, well, she doesn't do much, she's very quiet, so don't expect too much from her. And then she's like, oh, okay, you know, that's fine. My mom's pretty easygoing. And so she's like, sure, you know. So she took me home. And we went out to a cottage that we went to every summer for our whole childhood called Albert Beach. It's by Lake Winnipeg in Manitoba North, about 2.5, 3 hours north of Winnipeg. And it was the most magical place on earth. It's this little cabin that is tiny, 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 and but it was amazing. Anyway, through my teens, not so amazing, but as an adult now, looking back, amazing, and it was. So I went and lived, went out there. That's where I first went out to live with my family, and I was the complete opposite of what the hospital said. I crawled everywhere. I talked. The whole time I was there, whatever I said it to, I don't know what you say it to, but I was running off and I was nothing like. And when she came back, you know, they did a check-in, I guess, or something, or I had a doctor's appointment, who knows. And my mother's like, I don't know what little girl you had when she was in the hospital, but she is not the same little girl at our house. She is into everything. And I mean, as an adult looking back, I realized that the first 2 years of my life, I don't know if anybody else who's going to watch this is old enough, but the hospital cribs way back then were like little prisons. They were metal and they had bars on them, literally, and they slid up the sides. So to release them, they came down like not like a drawbridge, like a dungeon gate. I don't have any other reference for it. They were like little cages on wheels. And I don't think we got out of them very much at all. And I don't really have any good feelings about hospitals in general. I mean, as an adult, of course, I have, you know, nobody wants to go to the hospital, but I have a really bad aversion to them. And, you know, so anyways, I was not the same little girl at the house. But, I mean, I had 2 older brothers, a sister, a dog, mom and dad, a cottage that was neat, and a beach, and outdoors, and grass, and squirrels, and, you know, and chipmunks. I guess more chipmunks than squirrels, so chipmunks in Manitoba, not squirrels. Although we do have a few squirrels. And, yeah, you know, I mean, of course I was like, wow, you know, where's this house been all my life? And so I never left. At 5 years old, the adoption went through, and I don't remember ever not being with my family. And this was the thing. I mean, in the moment when I was 2, probably, you know, obviously I changed when I went to live with them. But I mean, really, to me, they're my family. Like they were just always there. And it wasn't until 5 when my mom got the letter in the mail and the adoption went through. I was now a Chuckmela. And she came down. I was watching TV, probably Sesame Street, and having my lunch. And she came down and kneeled in front of me, and she was just beaming. Oh, we remember that day for the rest of my life. And she hugged me, and she's like, "You're mine." And I remember thinking, wow, she's really happy, and I'm hers. I thought I was yours, because I don't remember. So to me as a kid, I was, and so then that was the first time that I actually really, really knew that I was adopted. And it's not like my parents hid the fact, or my family ever, like from beginning to end till now. It's not advertised. Nobody, you know, says, "Oh, we have 3 children and this is our adopted daughter, Crystal." No, my parents are, we have 4 children, and they name us off, and that's how we're introduced to people. And so, you know, I was, oh, okay. And I guess that's when the doubts start seeping in, and I'll get into it in other videos about adoption. But in the long run, always be straightforward, be solid as adoptive parents, and treat them as much as you can as the other children. I mean, this is what got me through, because as I'll say in future videos, my teens were ugly as far as my own view. And yeah, it just really bad. I mean, teens are ugly as it is, but then if you have like problems like either disability or adoption, which I had, and you just, you know, a lot of things are going on in your head that you don't, are from nothing, and you make things up, and it's too bad that it works out that way. But as far as childhood goes, that was the first moment it confirmed. But you know, through my life, you know, everybody, if someone did notice, they say, "Oh, well, you know, your youngest doesn't look quite like anybody else." And my mom will say, "No, Chrissy was adopted. But she's our youngest daughter." So she would always round it out by, "This is our daughter," even though she's acknowledged that I'm adopted, but then always finished it off by saying, "But she's our youngest daughter." And that's how it is. And but you know, people tell, "Oh yeah, Chrissy spent her first 2 years in a hospital, and you know, and then she came to live with us at 2, and now she's our daughter." Period. So I thought it was really important that they did that, and it really didn't. So I never felt a part of. So anyway, so 5 years old, I am now adopted, and legally. So nobody can mess with us, and nobody can come take me away, and that was great for my parents, because I was already theirs in my head. So and then as far as medical stuff, arthrogryposis is what I have. I've had it since birth. Basically means that there's not enough liquid in the womb, and so as you grow in the womb, you start running out of space, and so you don't have the same luxuries as other babies, so you don't get to stretch, move around, and so your body freezes into a certain position. Anybody with arthrogryposis, some can walk, some can't. It's all really varying degrees, because it depends on what position you're in when you start running out of space. And so I don't know what I looked like when I first was born, and I had surgeries before my parents were involved in my life. And we don't know what the doctor did, because the doctor the first 2 years of my life eventually left Canada and took all the records with him. So as far as I know, all I know is that he did surgeries on my ankles, my knees, and my hips, and my left hand. And that's it. And then also I was born with my stomach open. It's you're not bleeding, but you just, the skin hasn't fully formed on your stomach, so they had to put me in emergency surgery right away. And the light keeps going off because it probably is trying to save batteries. And so we don't know exactly what he did and whether it was a standard or not. But, you know, it didn't make that, you know, they didn't make that much of a difference, the surgeries. I don't know anything different, so. And then my stomach, of course, but that's a standard thing. And I'll find out what it's called and put it down in the comments or my blog post. And I'll have lots of reading material to go along with this video. So yeah, so I had those surgeries, and then later on, you know, the doctors were trying to correct my disability, so I had splints for my legs, and my parents did elect to have a surgery done on my right arm, and my left arm is completely straight. Both arms were straight when before the surgery. And so what they did basically was took my tricep and put it through to my bicep, and used metal stitches and put it all the way through. It was not a fun experience because they literally took pliers to pull out the stitches that went through my muscle and my bone in order for the bone, I guess, to adhere to the new spot or whatever. I think it was something like that. Anyway, so, and the splints started hurting when I got older, because I think as I started growing, because the frame of my disability is based on my frame of my skeleton from my neck down, and so everything is a little messed up, because like any frame, if it's not right or what is perceived as normal, then everything's a little off than what everybody else's is. So, so muscles haven't formed in certain places because of that, because I wasn't able to move and some others were. And so they tried this surgery to see if my arm could go up to my head and my face, and it can't, because it wasn't quite as simple as that. And so now my arm is fixed at a 90-degree angle because of that surgery. But it has helped. It gives me a little bit of options, because had both my arms been straight, then I wouldn't be able to do a lot of things that I can do, like put on my makeup, even though I need help. In the background, you see a little box beside my mirror and over by the lamp side, and that I use to rest my hand on in order to put my makeup on. And I move my head, not my hand, when I do makeup. So it looks a little odd when I do stuff. And I don't really think about how I look when I do stuff, and because my perception of myself is not what I look like, because I only see able-bodied people, so I don't realize how awkward I look doing stuff until I look at a video of me doing something, and then I'm like, oh, no wonder somebody's asking me if I need help. Like, ooh. But I got it all under control. If I don't, I'll ask for help. So yeah, so they did that last surgery, and then at around 12, my mother said, no, that's enough. She is how she is, and she'll figure it out. And she was right. And briefly going over the surgeries and everything, they were horrific. My mom was there. She was solid. I have no idea how she held it together. My mother is like can be cool as a cucumber, but in a warm way, not cold. My mother is anything but cold. She is soothing, comforting, and this quiet, beautiful anchor in a storm of pain and people trying to tell her that, you know, this is what Crystal needs, this is what Crystal needs, and then finally saying, no, this is the end. You don't get to do it anymore to her. And I think when I look back on it, when she did finally say that, it almost made all of the horrificness of the surgeries before, because she had kept a promise that she didn't say, but when I think back now, it was almost like, Chrissy, we're putting you all through this because we want to help you. But then when she realized it started hurting more than it helped, she stopped everything. And for her to have that much confidence to know that I was going to figure it out gave me a lot of confidence. And so she's just amazing. And then my dad different kind of love. He, when I was in the hospital one night, I was in for a bowel obstruction. That was part of one of the side complications of the, you know, having my stomach out and having the emergency surgery when I was born. Because you can never pack your guts back in as nicely as they come when you're born, when they're right. So I had a couple of bowel obstructions. By the second one, my doctor said I needed surgery and it was going to be emergency and you're going to the hospital like now. And so I did. And the night before, the doctors and nurses came in, did a bunch of stuff and tubes up my nose, IV in my head and everything. My parents come in the next morning and they're like looking at me, and of course I had a horrible night, and then my mother came in, and then of course I immediately started crying and let it all out. And my dad had this look on his face which I got very familiar with in my teens. That's another video. And he asked what happened. I told him, and he then proceeded to leave the room, and I just remember hearing him going up one side and down the other of the nurse, because they had said that they weren't going to do anything until the next day, and my parents are early people, so I'm sure they were there by 8 o'clock in the morning, and he was livid that they had done this while they weren't present, and they never did anything again without my parents being present. So that was my dad, and yeah, so that's how I explain my parents, because my mom is all love and cuddles, and my dad is get it done, do it for you, what do you need, and carry it out. And so in future videos I'll talk about how that complicated in my head in my ugly teens. And my childhood wasn't all surgeries either. It was a lot of fun. I had kindergarten, I had the playground on the roof. You know, I had my good friends, Dave Keeler and Brennan Childs, and I've known them the longest out of all of my friends in my life. And we had a lot of fun. We played a lot of games, because in spite of all those surgeries and their own journey through disability, because they're both disabled, we just managed to be kids. And I really attribute it to our families. You know, I know both their families well, and they just kept things even. Even though you went through all the surgeries and everything, they just kept day-to-day life as close to normal as possible through all of that. And, you know, and then I had a nice family. You know, I had 2 older brothers, a sister, still do. Talked about them like they're gone or something. They're not. And, you know, like, I had a lot of good things. So in spite of all the, you know, people looking and go, oh, you know, it's too bad you're disabled. You know, no. Yes, I had a lot of things, and I think that's what manages to make me be able to get through life more so than other people, only because I think I had a lot thrown at me at the beginning. But it was both positive and negative. Just extremes, I think, would be the best description. You get a lot of extremes a lot earlier than most people. So that was my early childhood. As far as my disability goes, I hope to make more videos to tell you more about my family life, because without them, I wouldn't have made through all of the things that I have made it through. And so these are the things that I hope to share with you, and try and explain how I got through things. So that was a brief overview of my medical, why I'm in a wheelchair, and again, I will find more detailed information about arthrogryposis and the reason that my stomach was open when I was born, and a couple other things. So there you go. So that's in a nutshell. And yeah, I'll do the next video. If you have any questions about anything, please ask. I'm always open to questions. You can always ask. I will answer it as best I can. So that's all I can promise. All right. Thank you so much for watching again. Again, I hope this is helpful or interesting, or something that sparks you to ask me something, and then we'll see where it goes from there. All right. Well, have a great day wherever you are, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks. Bye.